Imitation is the biggest enemy. It's so easy to go onto social media and see different people doing well with posting, branding, videos, and so easy to go down that deep dark hole and want to do the exact same thing.
Welcome, everyone, to the Closing Table Podcast, real accounts from real estate professionals from across the country, brought to you by WindowStill. I'm your host, Kat Schooler, and today I had the pleasure of sitting down with BryAnn Buhl of Iron Key Real Estate in the Central Valley, Central Coast, California region. BryAnn is a top producer in her area and a social media rock star. She shares with us how she took everything she learned from being a marketing coordinator and applied it to her real estate business. She shares her unique approaches to video and being authentic on social media. She also shares with us how being a new mom has affected her business. And then finally, her unique tips for marketing agricultural properties. This is a must listen episode, so pull up a chair and let's talk to BryAnn. Let's jump right in to your real estate journey. So you started as a marketing coordinator, right?
Yep. Yeah, I did. So it was actually for a different real estate team. It was funny because I went to LA, I went to fashion school. Ideally, I would have loved to live in LA and stay down there, work in the fashion industry, but I missed home. Where I'm from is the Central Valley of California, and it's very ag based, very down home, small town feel. So when I moved home, there was no way for me to be in the fashion industry. So I connected with a girl I went to high school with that was in real estate, and she was looking for someone to do marketing, which is also what I studied at school. So I started doing real estate marketing for her. Really, really loved just the marketing aspect of real estate, which I feel like selling sunset and things hadn't come out yet. So I didn't really see the creative side behind it until I started doing it for her. And then that's where my love for real estate and the marketing and creativity behind it really began. And they pushed me to get my license, and then it just went from there.
That's awesome. And so I'm sure working on the marketing side of things, you got to see the whole picture of the sales side too. So it was probably easy for you to transition in, yeah?
Oh my gosh, yes. It made for such a smoother transition compared to not knowing anything about real estate. I was able to see so much more of the back end and the sales and everything that normal people don't see that happens behind a real estate transaction. So it really got my feet wet in that way for me to know what to expect when I got my license. And I feel like that just helped me jumpstart my career off the bat compared to going through the real estate courses, which everybody knows you go through these courses and then you get into it and the job is so different. And so that helped me tremendously going into my first appointments, into first listings and buyers, knowing more of what to expect and how to handle it accordingly, which I feel like helped me stand out compared to a lot of the newer agents that were getting into the game around the same time I did.
Right. And you have this marketing background, which I think is it's a huge part of it, right? Getting your name out there, being visible, and you had that in droves.
Yeah, and so I think that that helped, especially in my area, just like anywhere. There's so many agents that anyone can call and instantly connect with. Everybody knows multiple agents, no matter where you live, no matter what price point you're in, anybody can easily find an agent. So the fact that I had the marketing background and I knew how to stand out and brand on social media made a huge difference with me getting my license and starting my business, especially in a small town. I have a sphere. I know a lot of people, yes, but the fact that my branding helped me stand out and that people knew what to expect and how I could market their properties differently and how I could help them stand out even as buyers to make connections made a huge difference. And it really helped my business take off really from the get go. And continue that branding and continue growing in that way is incredibly important to me. And I think that it's really stood out to people in my local area, but then even other agents across the country that I've been able to build really great referral relationships with also.
Yeah, and you do some really cool stuff on social media. Like one video I saw especially is I think you were selling your friend's house and you and her were sitting down with a glass of wine and she was talking about her house and I was like, "Oh gosh, this is so great because nobody loves the house more than the seller, right?"
Yeah.
Like and so getting her to speak about it I thought was really unique.
So that was something for me. I feel like a lot of people are like, no, you do not want the sellers to be involved whatsoever. You don't want them to be at showings, different things like that. She's a great friend of mine and she has such a fun personality. I knew that I wanted to use that to sell the home because the reason they're selling in the home isn't because they don't love it and they haven't used it. It's just time for them to move on to a different area. And that's the only reason. So there's no one else that could have spoken better things about this property or had more memories than they've had there. So she was the best one to use as that resource to market that property in a creative way to really get it out there to different people because that listing was on the market before with a different agent. And so we knew that we needed to hit it in a different way creatively to get it in front of different eyes and market it in a different way to make it feel more fresh compared to a stale listing.
I think that's a great idea, especially because video is getting bigger and bigger in
Yeah.
real estate. And while like any video is better than no video, suddenly how can you stand out against all of these videos that are starting out where it's, the agent is opening the door and it
Yeah.
welcome to 123 Main Street, like
Yeah.
how can you provide something different?
Yeah. And so I think that that's what it really comes down to. Like at the beginning, when real estate video was getting to be popular, like doing the door opening videos were fine. And I think there's still a time and place for a traditional listing video because that hits some people. But I think it's important to get creative in different ways so you can reach more people and get them to stop scrolling. The whole point is you want them to stop, watch your video, learn about the property, share it, comment, reach out to someone they know, tag someone. There's so many different things that can benefit from video, which I think is fantastic. That getting creative in that way can help you stand out with your real estate business, bringing different people to your profile and creating new business, but also doing that justice for your clients and the business that you currently have.
Definitely. And you do some other interesting videos too. Your personality is like all over your social media, which I love. People really have the opportunity to get to know you. You've done these I think I saw one for Valentine's Day. You're like eating candy and asking
Yeah.
questions. It has very much like that hot wing style thing without the hot wings.
Yeah.
And I think that's fun. What inspired you to make those kind of get to know you style videos?
So just being really authentic with my business, but then also transparent with my business and my life, I think just translates into getting more clients to reach out to me and feeling comfortable reaching out. That they feel like they know me, they know my husband, they're going to know our family as our son gets older, different things like that. I think it makes realtors more approachable when you show more of your life so people don't feel like you're a robot that they're reaching out to, that they feel like they know like, oh, she likes wine, or they flip properties and she went to this restaurant in town, I love that restaurant or that coffee shop, different things like that. I feel like it makes you more relatable even though you're running a business. They consider you more of a friend or an acquaintance compared to just a random real estate agent that they're following on social media. And that's where I really saw more people reaching out through social media for business. It was long game. It definitely wasn't instant, but the more I showed more of my life and what I was willing to share, I feel like the more comfortable people got, and that translated into more people reaching out for listings and for purchases.
Totally. And you include your spouse in your videos too. Was he down for it from go?
He is an insane introvert. He hates
Oh,
every single video we film, but he always says he feels super uncomfortable when we're filming it. But the company that we use for our videos, he says they always do a fantastic job. And by the time the editing's done and we get it back, he likes it. But he's introverted. That was not one of his biggest things, but he's always been so supportive of my business that he was willing to get out of his comfort zone and do those things because it was important to me. And now he sees the difference that it makes in my business. And it's something that he and his sister, they flip properties and invest on a lot of rental properties. So it's something that they're looking at doing for themselves also, getting more creative with ways to make themselves stand out as investors, because building those relationships in that way too can help them stand out compared to other local investors that are just sending out mailers and not making that direct connection or really showing things about their lives or their personality to make it more of a connection.
right. And I really think like as a flipper, you can get a pretty strong social media following. Like I follow some
Yeah.
flippers and I I eat it up. I love it. It's like
Yeah,
it's HGTV, but it's on my phone and it's more I don't know,
exactly.
it feels more real.
Yeah, because I think it's more like real life. Like you're starting out with this property that's not in the best condition. It's been lived in, it hasn't been maintained. And there's a lot of people across the country that have lived that way. And it's not shaming anyone in any type of way, but then taking these homes that have been distressed and then reviving them and giving them a new life and really helping the neighborhood, but then also getting somebody into the home that will love it really translates into a cool journey from start to finish for these homes, and they really tell a story of their own, which I think is interesting and really fun to watch.
I'd like to take just a moment and tell you about our sponsor. WindowStill provides premium real estate media for agents, builders, and property management companies nationwide. To learn more, visit windowstill.com. WindowStill, helping America find their next chapter. Now, back to the episode. I think it's cool that you are both involved in real estate in your own way. And I'm sure he can, I'm sure you've learned a lot from his experience
Yeah.
and he from you.
Yeah, no, it's been really fun, and everybody says that we're just a power couple in that way, and that we're really able to like lean off of each other, and we're insanely supportive. I can't think of anybody that's a bigger cheerleader for me and my business and vice versa for me and his business. And we just have that respect for each other in each other's business, but also push each other to go to that next level and to do better and to grow together is always our number one priority. And I'm so excited to see what the future has to hold for us growing these businesses together, but just really crazy to see just what we've been able to accomplish so far.
That's so cool. So I'm curious about like what made you decide to invest in kind of like a professional production team to
Yeah.
put on these videos versus, just a tripod in your kitchen or something like that.
Yeah, so there weren't many people in my area that were doing video at all when I started. I got started more on even like iPhone video before getting into professional video around COVID time. I'd only had my license probably about 6 to 9 months around that time. And I was trying to stand out in different ways. I knew video was going to start taking off. There weren't a lot of people doing it. I was comfortable enough to do it and to get myself out there. And when I started even doing the iPhone videos, I saw more people reaching out and asking questions compared to just seeing a post. I had scheduled a branding shoot with a friend of mine just for branding photos for social media and then for website, business cards, all of that stuff to really revive. And he said that he was going to be starting a video marketing company. And he thought that I could do really well with that. And they would love to give a promotional option for me to start with that and see how everything went. I loved how the videos were turning out. I was getting a lot of really, really great feedback. And then I joined with a retainer. I film a certain amount of videos per month and I haven't stopped since. It made a big difference again in my business, but it also helped me stand out compared to other agents and really get ahead of the game and stay on top of the game, just learning different trends that are happening, what's really helping with the algorithm, different things like that, and staying ahead of it compared to agents that are just trying to keep up with each other, I guess.
Totally. I mean, I love it. It looks great. And kind of like I said before, the content is different. It's get to
Yeah.
know you in this way. It's not all like listing sold under
Yeah.
contract type of stuff.
And I think that that's what's really important. Even I was getting my brows done last week, and my brow girl said, because I asked her, like, do you want to collab on a video about, she always posts these videos like what I wore to do brows today. And I'm like, what if we collab? And it's like what I wore to get my brows done, and you do what you wore to do my brows, different things like that. And she said, I would love to do that. And my biggest thing that I love about your social media is that it's not just real estate. I can see that you like wine, I can see you like traveling, and that you have your doodles and different things, that there's so many different things that people can connect with, which makes a huge difference compared to a real estate robot. That's what I feel like is the only thing to really compare it to. And I think that when you stay so business focused in your videos, it translates back to old 90s real estate style when you think of someone cold calling, door knocking just in a suit, and it feels so less personal compared to just how much better it can be. And it's not hard to show your personality and really make connections in that way. And it just turns into a much more authentic relationship, which will grow over time because you can stay in contact with all these clients through social media, but then also in personal ways. And it just helps create those relationships that will last over time and then also turn into more business through referrals.
Totally. And, and I think a lot of your content is evergreen in that way. It's not about like the interest rate today. It's not about
Yes.
like the median house price. So that when people are finding you, it's evergreen content.
Yeah, and that's always my goal is to keep it fresh. Like I want to provide educational content mixed in there, but I definitely don't want it to be just constantly like here's your steps into getting into a home or here's your tips to prep your home. I think it's important to have a good mix because you don't want to just provide personal content, but you also want to provide educational content. So I think having that mix is what helps too, and you'll be able to really find your niche, but then also reach more people in that way.
Totally. So I want to congratulate you because you are a recent mom.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations. I'm curious, kind of how that has affected things for
Yeah,
you. Was that something you kind of worried about? If, of course, everybody who has a newborn, I have not yet, but,
yeah,
that is a big undertaking. Were
yeah.
you worried about how that would affect your business? How has it affected your business?
I was worried slightly. I knew no matter what I am insanely thankful and grateful for is with Parker, my husband, being an investor and being self employed, we're able to work around each other's schedules. So we're able to really bounce off each other when we need appointments or when we need like specific time to get work done, showings, personal appointments, whatever. And so I knew we would be able to totally rock that and make it work. But what I was most nervous about was that people would be nervous to work with me right before I had the baby or right after, that I wouldn't be able to handle business or handle both at the same time, being a new mom and having the baby. So that was something that I really posted about a lot and branded was that Parker and I work as a team. He has his real estate license. We can handle anything and everything. We are loving the newborn stage, but we're also not taking time off. We will handle any business that comes our way and we will handle it just as we would before we had the baby, staying insanely professional and supportive of our clients. The only difference is work takes a little longer these days. If I'm writing an offer, I might not be able to get it done in 20 minutes. It might take me double 45 if I need to do a bottle or different things like that. But everyone has been insanely respectful and insanely supportive, but we've also done a good job about staying on top of things while also really enjoying our time as a family. And we've enjoyed it full circle right now. Just everything with baby, taking in everything that's new in life, but also handling business and everything's to come. What is crazy is that since I had the baby, I haven't been this busy since COVID times when the market was insane. So it's definitely picking up around, a lot around here. And I've been handling any and all of the business that's been thrown our way. And it's been really great to see everyone that is still supportive and excited to work with us, even with having the new baby.
Oh, that's so encouraging to hear. And it's like it's that old adage, when it rains, it pours, right?
Yes. No, absolutely. And that's definitely what we've been seeing. And we're very excited for that and very grateful for the business, but also know that our reputation for being hard workers, putting our clients first and doing the best job possible, but then also the branding and the relationships that we've built. That's why we're able to have this business and be able to have that smooth transition with the baby. So, very thankful for that, but also very proud of the business and reputation that we've been able to build.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, speaking of your clients, everybody has like a favorite client story. Do you have one that you'd like to share with us?
I would say I probably have 2. So I had one of a
Oh,
single
please.
mom probably a few years ago that she was in a modest price point. She had 2 kids. She had gone through an insanely messy divorce. She was a random lead from I think it was called Property Shark or something like that. Just one of my listings was on there and we connected in that way. But she's one that I built an insane relationship with and was one of the most proud closings that I had because she was able to close on an amazing property to raise her kids, not being in a rental and doing it on her own, which I thought was amazing. And now, anytime I drive by, I see their toys out front, different things. It's just very heartwarming. But another one was a new construction client, and it was just fun and creative in a way because during construction, her boyfriend actually proposed and filmed and planned this whole engagement to go on, and I was able to be a part of it. So it was super fun to be included in that and just know that I will be part of that memory forever. And it just felt like I was part of the family. And so that's something that you don't necessarily think about before you have your real estate license, that you are going to be a part of these people's lives and their memories possibly forever. So you really want to build a really great reputation and leave great long lasting memories.
Oh, I love that. Now, it's like you're the second agent I've talked to who has been involved in a proposal, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's becoming like one of my bucket list things. Like
Yeah.
I want to help someone propose.
Yeah. Now I feel like any buyers that I have that they've been together a while, I'm like pressuring the boyfriend, like, do you want to propose? Like, I can set it up on closing day or just something because it's so fun. And I think it just creates such cool memories for the house and things like that too. But that was really special and one that'll definitely hold a place in my heart forever.
Oh, that's so wonderful. BryAnn, tell us about your area. So you're in that Central Valley, Central Coast part of California.
Yep.
What do you love most about that area?
So it's small, but what we're known for is being centrally located. So we're about an hour from the mountains, 2 hours from the coast, 2.5 to San Francisco, and about 2.5 to 3 hours to LA. So it's just so centrally located that you can get mountains, ocean, big city, like all within a day if you really wanted to, which is so neat. But we're also known for the Navy base. So we have a Navy base, which is in Lemoore, which is a small little cow town, but we hold so much pride in having some of the best pilots in the country that literally fight for our freedom, moving in and out of here, which is so neat. And going to school with a lot of the kids that were Navy kids and just moving around the country and hearing their stories, it was really special. But then building those relationships is really neat too. So that's something that we're known for. But then also for the ag around here, we grow some of the most of the produce for the country. We had a lot of floods last year, so that definitely hit a lot of the acreage and a lot of the produce, but still we do a lot of the cotton. We have a ton of the fruits, a lot of the tomatoes, different things like that to really feed the country, which is something we hold a lot of pride in, which is really interesting, but then also something just growing up seeing that it just gives you a different source of pride and makes you love this area for a different way.
Totally. I grew up next to a farm, like my
Okay.
family, but they have a sad farm, so it's like ag, but it's not like food. But then the other farm very close by did corn, and yeah, there's something special about growing up in kind of like
Yeah.
an ag area.
Yeah.
Have you had the opportunity to like work with buyers or sellers on agricultural property?
I have, and it's actually some of my favorite transactions that I've done. It's funny because it's kind of best of both worlds. One of my parents' best friends, they moved here for the Navy base, and they were from North Carolina. They moved here and they just loved the area. So even though they didn't have any family, when it was time for him to retire, they decided to retire here and they bought 40 acres. They planted trees, and that was supposed to be their retirement. But it ended up just being too much work for them to have all these trees to maintain. And they didn't grow up farming. So they had a farm manager that was fantastic, but it just wasn't much of a retirement because they were still having to work constantly. So that was one of my biggest listings to date, and something that I'm very proud of was selling their property, and getting them into something else because the sale of that property gave them their funds for their retirement for the rest of their lives. So that was something that was really neat. And then right now, actually yesterday, I listed a new ag property, for some almond trees that they just outgrew their house and they're ready for something else. But it's such a cool little plot of land. We're getting a lot of interest, and it's just something rare. And there's something different about living on some land, having some space, and just having that little American dream, like to raise your kids in that way. So it's super interesting and really fun to see.
Do you have like a different approach, when you have an ag property that you're dealing with? Because I'm sure it's a different probably type of buyer, right?
Yeah, it is totally. So I think it's just getting creative with the marketing. The approach for listing the properties pretty similar, aside from getting different photos and videos and things done. But I think it comes down to having those connections and that respect with the agents that do a lot of ag and being knowledgeable in that way when they're asking you questions about wells and water rights and septic and different things like that. You don't want to have get caught with your pants down not knowing like what's going on with different situations. So I think it's having knowledge in that way, and I grew up on a farm, so knowing different things definitely helps, but then also getting very creative in the marketing because that is something that a lot of ag agents don't do is get creative. They're so stuck in the ways of doing things a certain way with ag properties because they've been doing it for so long. So that's what I have the most fun with is getting creative with it and making it stand out compared to the others. And there's so many different ways to do it when it comes to an ag property too, compared to a normal residential sale.
What are some of the different things you do?
So my big ag listing that I did a couple years ago, it's funny because they had all their pistachio trees and who they sold their pistachio nuts to, she was a Pilates client of mine. And so the company is called Keenan Farms. And so I had her do a cameo in the video saying like, oh, and then they sell the nuts to Keenan Farms. And I'm like, oh, there's Teresa Keenan. And she rolls up in like her Range Rover and I toss her a bag of nuts and just had like a creative little cameo that gets people's attention compared to here's 40 acres of nuts, here's the water depth, whatever. And so there's little ways to do it without doing anything crazy that really gets it to stand out, which I think is really fun.
Oh, I love that. It's just like slightly scripted,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's still professional. It's nothing crazy that I'm running around in a mascot suit or anything like that, but just something to get people's attention like, oh, who is that? And what is that tied to? And that just creates more interest in a property, which is a really fun way to do it.
Yeah, you know what, because I think as people we're drawn to stories, right? So
Yes.
you're telling a story.
Yeah. And I think that that's what's important. And some properties are easier to tell stories than others. But when you're able to do that, I feel like it creates more of a relationship with that property and that people understand that story, enjoy that story, and want to be a part of it, which can help it stand out.
That's great. So you have been in real estate for a while.
Yep.
You have like this wonderful breadth of knowledge. What would you say is your biggest lesson learned in real estate?
I would say like imitation is your biggest, I guess, the little devil on your shoulder. Imitation is the biggest enemy. It's so easy to go onto social media and see different people doing well with posting, branding, videos, and so easy to go down that deep dark hole and want to do the exact same thing. But just knowing that that's not going to benefit you. The only way that you are going to be able to grow your business is going to brand yourself and help your business stand out compared to imitating someone else's and trying to be second best in that way. And that was the biggest thing for me when I got my license was figuring out my own brand, how I could stand out compared to other top producers that were doing something that worked for them. I needed to find my own way of doing it, and I really enjoyed it. It's something that I've been able to stay creative with and something that I continue to grow with, and focusing on that branding is very important to me, and I think that that's something that can help a lot of new agents too.
That's awesome. And then, Brian, do you have any goals for the year that you'd like to share with us?
Goals for the year, I'd say we're still trying to pick up as many rental properties and flips as possible. I did just join a new brokerage, so my goal there is just to continue with my branding even at this new brokerage, but really build my reputation there also to climb up to the top at this new brokerage and really help myself stand out for our area is the goal right now, but also just enjoying family time while still growing our business and our rental portfolio.
That's so awesome. And like, not a goal away, but like, do you have something you're looking forward to this year?
We're planning on going on a big trip in the fall. It'll be the first time we leave the baby, so we'll see how that goes. But just to celebrate everything that we've accomplished in the last year, even with the market being a bit slower, and different personal things that we're going to be celebrating. So very excited to see what comes in the fall.
That's so awesome. Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining me today. Would you like to direct people how they can find you, how they can work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at BryAnn Buhl Realtor, and same for Facebook. I'm located in the Central Valley and I service the Central Valley and Central Coast of California, and I'm always happy to help. Thanks so much for having me, Kat.
Oh, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to the Closing Table podcast brought to you by WindowStill. I'm Kat Schooler. Please make sure you are following and subscribed to this podcast. If you're enjoying this podcast, you can leave us up to a 5-star review. Leaving us a review is the best no-cost thing you can do for us, and it helps us find more amazing listeners like you. Thank you, everyone, and we will talk to you next time.